Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Dr. B Stress B, Dr. B Stress Free. And I just want to welcome you to our podcast. Each and every one of you know that we're here every Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the purpose of this podcast is just to be able to talk about health, wealth, and politics. And I know that sounds weird, but please mute yourself. But we are just excited to be able to bring together a group of people that are all professionals and they're all involved in their own businesses. And yet it's so important for us to network, especially in today's society. There's so much that's going on from a health perspective. People are trying to stay healthy. But we're dealing with what's going on in our environments. We're also dealing with politics. There's a lot going on that's affecting us, whether it's our jobs, whether it's our profession. A lot of people are really trying to figure out how they're going to make it in today's society because there is so much that's going on. And so one of the things that I wanted to do, I've worked for the Department of Army for 34 years, retired as a GS-15 equivalent to a colonel. And I was literally able to retire early because I was involved in another business where I was able to travel the world and just have a good time. And I've done a lot of research on stress. I did research on identifying the stressors and coping strategies of women in leadership within corporate America, government, okay, and education. And people are just really more stressed out in today's society than ever before as a result of the pandemic. The pandemic has made extra issues that people are having, but just the fact that mental health is such a key part of our society and people don't even know where to get help. And so mentorship is important, being able to take our young people and mentor them for things that are happening in the future, and making sure that technology we're up to date on so many different things. I'm really trying to get up to speed on this artificial intelligence and all of that. So we just have a lot going on. And so what I want to be known for is being able to put together a community of people that we can continue to educate, but that have expertise in various areas. And so we can have an upfront personal conversation with them. So I have a young lady today that I would like to introduce you to, an incredible young lady. Her name is Kristy Lacy. She has well over 20 years of experience across IT, and IT is definitely crucial in today's society, finance, manufacturing, and healthcare. And she's a manager of strategy and innovation, and she works for, I call it Generous Motors. And so anybody that works in General Motors, we know that they had to be a rock star to even get in there, as far as having their education, as far as being able to communicate, as far as being able to collaborate and work with the people. And I know from a woman's perspective, we always have a tendency of having to continue to prove our competency, if that makes sense. She's passionate and advocate for DEI, which is so crucial today, and mentoring and philanthropy. And she holds degrees from Purdue Global University and Michigan State University. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Miss Kristy Lacy. Kristy?
Hi, thank you all for taking the time to join Dr. B and I look forward to this. I'm so excited to be a part of this podcast. Hopefully she invite me to many more in the future, that this won't be a one and done. I enjoy doing these type of things and spending time with you all and getting to know everyone's concerns and things. So I'm excited. So Dr. B, let's go.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. And I'm just excited again because as most of the people that are on here know, we just started this podcast about a month ago, and it's just becoming so well-rounded because of being able to bring professionals like yourself that we would never think about it. In general, you never have contact with people that are at these high levels that have had to make their way up and have had to deal with diversity issues or whatever it might be. So just tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I've always been in IT. I've always had a passion for computers. I built my first computer when I was 12 years old. Basically, I took apart the family computer and put it back together. So I knew IT was always something that I wanted to get into in the future. So I went to school for that. So my journey was a little bit long because I got pregnant at age 19 and it took me 8 years to get my bachelor's degree. So I finally got it and then kind of worked my way up through working across many industries. I always found myself in IT doing project management or strategy and somewhere along that lines. So currently I work at General Motors and I've been here for 13 years. And the type of work I do every day is just I get up in the morning and come up with the next greatest idea, strategy, and concept for GM. So I work a lot within the
Wow.
dealer space. So I work a lot with them on helping them to come up with the next biggest product or the next biggest idea. So I have the kind of a fun and creative job where it doesn't necessarily feel like work every day. It's not your typical 9 to 5 where you're doing the same job every day. And I have a wonderful team of people, and I purposely hired all races, all ages. I wanted to have a well-rounded, diverse team.
Wow. That's interesting. I like the fact that you're saying that you're not having to do the same thing every day because I'm that type of person. Some people like routine. You know,
Not me.
I told them, I said, some people could go to work like this, and with the
Mm.
line and hands in front of them, they'll make it to their desk and they do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And that is so crazy. And so when you say you come up with the next best idea or strategy for General Motors, that is fantastic because that means you're representing women, you're representing people of color, you're representing, our ideas. So tell us, what is one of the next best strategies, would you say?
So as we all know, and it was one of our topics, actually, we can go ahead and lead into this, is the whole EV strategy is something major that General Motors is leaning towards, trying to get everybody in is our slogan, everybody in for EVs, trying to make EVs affordable for everybody because it's said that EVs are very expensive and the average person can't afford to have an EV vehicle. So General Motors is trying to build a strategy around making EVs affordable, and also just increasing the infrastructure because we all know that there's not enough charging stations around in the city or even in the country. I live in the country here in Michigan, way
Mhm.
out east. So it's just not enough chargers. So some of the initiatives that we're working on is making sure that we have enough chargers and infrastructure to support EVs. So we've been working closely with many organizations and companies to make sure there's enough charging for everyone because that can hamper people from getting EVs. If I'm traveling and going on the road and I'm going to be traveling from Michigan to California or Michigan to Florida, is there enough charging for my vehicles between Michigan and Florida? So it's hampering a lot of people from buying EVs. So that's one of the main things that General Motors and Ford and some of the other companies are kind of working on together along with the government on giving grants and things like that for charging stations or for people to own home chargers.
Wow. Now, I was just in a meeting last week. It was presented by a company, it's called Detroit Future Innovation, something. I was down at Wayne State University, but mostly what they were talking about was electric vehicles. And they were talking about how University of Michigan, I believe they're offering some type of grants like you just mentioned. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think this is key for our entrepreneurs that are on here and people that are looking to get in the EV electric vehicle space, and to fit in there, whether you're transporting the EVs or the charging stations, or able to fix them, or however. And then they're also wanting to get the children coming out of high school or while they're in high school interested in the IT part of it as well
Mm-hmm.
as maybe, you know what I'm saying? So tell me a little bit about that.
There's definitely a shortage when it comes to the skill sets because it's more than just what your average line worker does. You have to kind of have a software or development background. So GM is even trying to, and I'm sure Ford is doing the same thing, encourage our young people out of high school and college programs and hiring a bunch of positions when it comes to coders and developers and things like that. Those would be the people who's programming how to make these EVs work. So it's a huge
Mm.
market for that. And even in the fleet space, because there's electric fleet vehicles. So I see someone has a trucking company, GM has a program called Involve which is a suite of fleet vehicles that you can have when it comes to EVs and things. So we're pushing that. It was formerly known as Bright Drop, if you've seen that in the news, but it's transformed to GM Involve. And I kind of fall under that organization myself and do a lot of work with that team, getting the fleet vehicles on the road. We have some contracts with Verizon and a few other companies. We were working with the U.S. Postal Service, AT&T, and a few other companies to try to get those electric fleet vehicles out there for more companies to start using those.
Wow. Now, when you say evolve, is that does that allow people that have their own private trucks to get involved, or is it getting involved with utilizing your vehicles, or how does that work?
It's their own. We'll make the trucks for them, so it will be that we will purchase them from us, just like a car. So we make the
Okay.
fleet vehicles. So far we have some big companies, but I'm sure smaller companies can tap into it as well. So we make the fleet vehicles, and something that Bright Drop was working on. I know you've seen some changes in leadership when it came to Bright Drop, but they was even making the vehicles out in Silicon Valley to even be refrigerated and things like that, to be able to deliver solutions to grocery stores and all different things. So when you look at General Motors, you think of it as just a car company, but
Mhm.
there's also future products and things that the company is working on as well, more so than just the EVs and the cars that you see on the road. So they're actually looking at, the future of automotive and cars as automotive continues to evolve. Like, just look at the vision from Henry Ford, how it started off being, imagine what he went through with the horse and carriage, and then going to a gasoline vehicle, and the hoops and challenges that he had to go through to get people to use gasoline vehicles. So the same
Mhm.
journey we're going to have when it comes to EVs, because this is the next generation. Then after this, it'll probably flying cars. We'll see in our lifetime that they're actually working on those concepts too in the lab behind the scenes of flying cars. But we need to get the ones on the ground together first before we can worry
Right.
about flying cars. But these are the things we think about, and these are the things some of our innovation teams work on behind the scenes. So it's kind of a cool job, so we have other innovation teams that work on the future concepts and things like that.
Wow, I'm so proud of you. It just to working for the Department of Army, and always most of the time being around mostly men and being involved in those meetings where you sit in there, and when I would go in the meeting at first, I would just kind of sit back and just listen and observe, because that's how I would pick up on, okay, this is the person that's over this, or this how I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
deal with this person, or okay, you learn how to sit back and kind of get a feel for who's at the table, or what have you. And of course, when they look at you, what do they think? The first thing they think is that you're what? They think you're administrative. They think that you're the
Yes.
secretary. They don't think that you are involved from a technical perspective. And I work with a lot of engineers. We dealt with batteries, vehicular batteries for the military vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
What didn't understand is that whether you have a truck or whether you have a tank, they both took the same batteries for standardization, so that you could take 4 batteries or 6 batteries. And if you're out there in that battlefield, you could swap them. That's logistics. That's understanding what's going on, and how, you can be out there and making sure things are interchangeable, because you can't have a lot of different batteries going into military vehicles and they're out there on the battlefield and there's nowhere to order a battery.
Right.
Just using that as an example. But the same thing is with EV, right? So EV, you guys are looking at these batteries, and I understand if that battery go out, I think that's going to be worse than buying an engine,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. And we've had our challenges with the batteries. I know you've seen the recalls with the Bolt and things like that. So it's such a new concept. We're still trying to define and refine. At first, they were saying EVs was too heavy, and imagine a bunch of EVs on a road with our crumbling infrastructure and bridges and roads and things. So they had to lighten it. So we've been through a few different iterations of the EV journey, and we'll continue to. Just like the example I gave with Henry Ford, how look how many times he had to get patents or was told no, that his gasoline vehicle concept would not work. And then just the cost of getting a car back in those days was like $500, which is a lot of money by today's standards. So imagine the 1900s when Henry Ford first came up with the concept, trying to get people from using horse and buggies to cars, and how he actually made it, how it actually became a thing. Now most households have a car. And not only that, he changed the revolution of manufacturing, of creating the assembly line, and also having an 8-hour workday. So a lot of things happen because of that man's vision and change. He stood up and said, what, we got to do something different. We got to evolve. We're heading into the 20th century. A good thing for everyone to watch is called The Cars That Built America.
The
It
cars
comes on the
that built
History
America.
Channel, and it's a 3-part series that goes over the journey of the big three, starting from Henry Ford's concept of the Model T, all the way through the different evolutions, how we got sports cars, how Lee Iacocca came up with the minivan concept. It failed. No one bought into it at first. He left Ford because he introduced it to Ford at first, and they didn't like it. Then he came over to Chrysler with the concept. Winner, still driving minivans today. So some of the people who came, who are visionaries, coming up with some of these different things that paved the way for today. So the same thing with the EVs, it's kind of here to stay. It's not going to go away. So we just need to figure out how to get our infrastructure together, the roads, the charging. And if I live in an apartment, how am I going to charge my car? Things like that, making
Exactly.
sure that those are accessible for everybody in rural areas and people who live way out in Nebraska. So those are the things we need to think about when it comes to that whole strategy. And I think some of the auto companies kind of went gun-ho with pushing EVs on everyone's throats without checking in with the infrastructure and making sure it's doable.
Well, and it's so interesting to me because, like, I'm in Florida now, right? And a lot of my neighbors down here, they have electric vehicles. They got to plug, and then I'm hearing that some of the people up north was having problems with the cold weather and the vehicle starting, and I guess was the battery or something like that.
Yes.
So people are already feeling the effects of certain areas where they work better than others. You know what I mean? And New Year's, I'll never forget, I had a friend come down here and she ran and rented a car and she goes, "Oh, girl, I got an electric vehicle." I said, "Okay." I said, "Now you need to know how far you can go." "Oh, girl, I got this, I got this, I got this." Let me tell you something. We ended up going out that night and I had told us, "You can stay at my house if you want to," but I didn't know who all was coming to my house. My sons come and go. She goes, "No, no, no, I got me a little spot. I'm good, I'm good." I bet you about 3 o'clock in the morning, she called me. She said, "Girl," I said, "What's going on?" Because I had fell asleep. She said, "Girl, I ran out of charge and I'm on the freeway." I said, "On the freeway?"
Oh no.
And then where she went, wherever she went, it took a different charger or something. It was just crazy. And I'm thinking, girl. And so again, these are little horror stories, right? And so I just think that being a part of, because I'm also part of Minority Business Enterprise Input Committee for Michigan, and I'm over logistics and transportation. I'm definitely going to have you speak to our group. So I'm letting you know that. And as we have our networking events where people all come together, I would love to invite you to that too, because you're going to fit right into that space. But that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about now, is because it's here. And people are thinking, "Oh, I forget that. I'm not getting an electric vehicle. I'm not dealing with that." You're going to have to deal with it. If you don't evolve, you evaporate, right?
Exactly.
So we got to deal with it, but we got to understand it. But we also have our young children coming up, whether you have a grandchild or whether you have children that are coming up, we need to get them involved in IT. Which I'm glad that you're involved in that, because a lot of us aren't involved in the IT space, or, our kids are interested, but we have to direct them into, dealing with that. And I know they have a lot of programs. What's the program in school? Help me. It's called where a lot of kids come. I know they have a program down at Wayne State University where the kids get all involved in mostly the high tech stuff. What is that called?
Like the STEM programs, we're
Oh,
starting at the middle school level. My niece is 9 and she goes to some STEM programs. She's in the 3rd grade. So they're starting young. And we're trying to encourage more girls and more minorities to get into the program. I know the Girl Scouts has a good STEM program to get girls to get into engineering and IT and things like that. And part of the mentorship I do, I talk to a lot of the IT and engineering students at Michigan State, mentoring them, all races, just talking to the computer science and the MIS students about career paths in engineering and in development. So those positions are always, always needed, and they pay really well right out of college. You're hiring these kids right out of college at GM. You can get internships starting in your sophomore year in college. And they're
wow.
paid internships. These kids get money for doing this. So we need to spread the word to more of our people. So when I'm recruiting at Michigan State, I'm trying to pick up on women and minorities and basically the people who are passed over
Right.
when it comes to opportunities and things like this.
Exactly. And I know I have a niece and she went into robotics.
Mm-hmm.
She graduated from Rochester High And she went into a program. She was in a special program at GM. And they went, and so she started doing that. And she's worked with a couple different companies, but she's done very well. And they started her out very good.
Yes.
So that STEM program, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math,
Mm-hmm.
STEM is so important. And again, how do we get the message out? Because a lot of times we want to say, oh, we've been left behind. Oh, they're not helping us. But we have to reach out as parents, as advocates. Like you have your mentorship program. I definitely want to hear more and more about your mentorship program. If there's any way or if you need any support or help with that, let me know. Because that's what we need to look at. And this is, as you know, I have people here because I've touched people all over the country, but it's still the same thing, whether you're in Florida, whether you're in Michigan, wherever you might be. The electric vehicles are here to stay. California,
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a little more progressive, maybe in California than they are
Yeah.
our way. Why is that, would you say?
Silicon Valley, that's technology, and Jim actually opened up a technology office over in what we call Silicon Valley, because that's where Apple and Google and all the tech companies are located over there. So they're a little bit more progressive when it comes to technology. So when it comes to building the vehicles and the computer developers, most of the folks come from that area.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so I know we went out there several years ago on going to a meeting or something, and my son rented a EV, and that was the first time I had been in one, and it glides. It's just so smooth. And I kept telling, he goes, "Oh, mom, I still got another 30, 40 miles." I said, "Don't trust that. You need to
No,
find a
I wouldn't.
charging station." You know what I mean? Because that 30 might drop to 10 in a minute. And so it was just kind of funny, but we got to continue to, one of my mottos is we must educate, motivate, and elevate our communities. And you are definitely a rock star. And I'm just always impressed when I see women that are in spaces, especially in corporate America. Because when I did my research on identifying the stressors and coping strategies of women in leadership within education, corporate America, and government, of course, corporate America was the most stressed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You guys were the most stressed out. Of course, government, look at Congress today. They ain't stressed about nothing. They might show up with the red cup. They might say whatever they want to say these days.
Big body bleach bond. How that went that talking about the other. I know everybody's seen that.
You know what though? But you know what? She needed that because see what they have to understand with the Democratic Party, and we Michelle Obama, we love you. And I know you say when they go high, when they go low, we should go high. But sometimes you got to go low blow with them because see, she wasn't expecting that to come back on her, and this whole thing has gone viral. What is it she said again? Can you repeat it? She said,
Look, what's it? Bleach blonde.
Bleach
Yeah,
blind,
go ahead.
bleach blind, bag built butch body.
Try saying that 10 times fast.
I can't say it fast like she said it, but
beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, she
you know
had
what?
it, boy.
She had it coming. She had it coming. And I just enjoyed that. And see, again, it's letting us know where we are in politics. That's what I'm calling it, because it's affecting us, whether we know it or not. My son's like, "Mom, you always listen to all that news and this and that." I said, "You need to tune in." Because see, our young folks are not tuned in. They haven't had to fight for anything. We paved the way for them, and we want them to, of course, do better than us, but they have to also respect what they have because we're going backwards. Affirmative action is no longer in place.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are really feeling threatened by people of color. I don't care what nobody says. It's the handwriting on the wall, threatened by women, and all of these rights are right now being threatened. And so we have to vote. We have to get involved. We cannot be smoking and drinking. That's what they
You're
want.
right.
They want you to be so high, you don't know what just hit you. And while you're doing that, they're making all of these decisions that are affecting women and their bodies and families. And it's going to also affect men too. And, when I look at all of this, it's just very, very frustrating, but we have to move forward because they're also throwing money out there. Like you said, the grant money to do the STEM. And we have to continue to work with our young women and let them know, because I don't care what nobody says, it takes two incomes in a household in today's society. I was on the plane today talking to a young woman, and she was saying to me, you know, she wants to buy a house. She just got married, but she doesn't know if they're going to be able to afford to buy a house. And she was looking in the area that I'm in right now down here in Florida. And so everybody is concerned, whether they're younger or older, about how they're going to make it in today's society. And I believe that entrepreneurship is going to play a role. And that means think about a business, think about how you can fit in to whether it's getting involved in STEM or whether it's getting involved in, I just think that with the EV electric vehicles, that's just a new thing coming out. But they also stated in one of the meetings that I was in that has almost gotten ahead of us, but there's something else coming out. How are these vehicles going to be driven? Is it oxygen or something? Or I'm not saying it right. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's something else that,
Yeah, I want to say it's like nitrogen or something like that. It's like the next gen of when it comes to electric vehicles, how it's powered. So they're looking into different solutions, you know, because you got your battery issues and things like that. So they're looking into like the next evolution of that. So that's definitely something to get into. And then when it comes to like charging and things, they got a bunch of side companies that you can buy chargers from. Like I'm in the process of getting a charger for my home. I have a new build, and I can get the charger installed in my garage. The EVs, at least the GM ones, come with portable chargers that you can just plug up somewhere and plug into your car. But those chargers would take you all day, like all day and all night to charge. It's like a nickel and dime kind of thing versus the ones that you get installed on your house. It's a much quicker charge. Like you can charge in 30 minutes to an hour, you know, fully charge your vehicle. So maybe what we could do, Dr. B, is because I plan to get an EV vehicle and install a charger, hopefully by the end of the year. So we can
okay.
come back and maybe go through my journey on what it's like or whatever. I've ridden in a few EV cars. I'm not sure how many of you have. I rode in a Lyric, Cadillac Lyric. It's so quiet. You can sneak up on
Is it?
people. You know, it doesn't make any noise because there's like no engine, so to speak, no transmission. It's nice and roomy and looks really nice. You know, they're a little bit smaller on the inside, but
Mm-hmm.
but they're really nice. So there's many different things you can do. Like someone put a chat to own your own station. That's definitely what I would do. And you know, as an entrepreneurship, maybe rent it out to the neighborhood, like maybe charge people to, you know, use your charger or something like that if you have one in your home or in your garage. A lot of people, they can be installed inside your garage, on the side of your house, or outside your garage. And they're trying to make the chargers a little bit more universal because you can't have a Tesla charger, a Ford charger, a GM
Right.
charger, a Chrysler charger. You got to make them universal so that everyone can
Exactly.
use them. And so there's, like someone said, free grants. There's money out there. I know that DTE was giving out money. The IRS, I think if you search the irs.gov site and put in EV tax credit grants, you can get $1,500. There's monies out there that you can get. I think you have to get reimbursed back, but there's different monies out there that you can get when it comes to that. So the different grants and stuff like that. So there's things out there that you can get to get some of your money back, because it can
So
get expensive. If you have a new build, it won't be as expensive because a lot of newer homes are equipped for it. But like my old house is built 1920. If I plugged my car up, I probably would have burnt that house to a crisp. Everybody's house can't handle it. And that's the thing too that we have to look into as solutions. You know, we want to roll this out to everyone. We want to make sure that people can charge without burning their house down, you know, because it takes a
right.
lot to charge.
There's a few ladies that I'm, again, by me being involved with the Michigan Minority Business Enterprise, it's kind of weird. My son had a trucking company. I got involved in that. We ended up getting MBE certified. I'm also WBE certified, Women Business Enterprise certified. You know, until you get your certification. The next thing I know, they looked at my background. All of a sudden, I became part of the sector, and I was a leader. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. But God puts us where we belong. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that because I'm hearing a lot of chatter, and you're confirming it, okay, where you are, where you're sitting. And see, all of that's what's so important, is that we tune in. And so there were some ladies that were part of, and Sherelle, I think you might have been on that call too for MBE, where they're talking about coming together and they're putting together a business, and they're going to be dealing with the charging stations.
That's
You
smart
you
because
see
we
what I'm
need
saying?
that.
See, and so that's something that I want to talk to you about offline because we need to understand how we fit into this. And see, these type of conversations are not going on. A lot of
Mhm.
these type of conversations are not going on, especially in the Black community. And so you just have a select few that have their kids, that they get involved in these special programs and they get the jobs, and everybody else sit back and they don't even know what just happened. So they say, hey,
Right.
either you are in the game and don't know what's happening, on the sideline and don't know what already happened, or you know what's happening and you're tuned in. And most of our people, the main ones that need to be tuned in, even on this podcast, who have grandkids, who have children that are pulling on them because they call some of them boomerangs because they're coming back home and they're barely making it, need to be in this space right here, right now. And you are the expert and you're telling us what's going on from the General Motors perspective. How better can we get? How better can we get an expert here in front of us, letting us know how important STEM is and how you said you have a young lady that's 9 years old that's already in the STEM program. Introduce these kids. I see all these kids walking around, they on the plane, they on it,
Mhm.
they're playing these stupid games. I'm just being honest about it, to keep them busy, to keep them quiet. And we need to have them in the EV space, the STEM space, and we need to be highly involved. We need to get the churches involved. We need to get the sororities involved. We need to get the fraternities involved. And I'm saying all that because last year, or it's been 2 years now, I ran for state rep, was asked to run. It was kind of weird, but I went on and did it because I said I had to pray on it. And then I got a call from a guy and he said his name was Moses. I said, why your name have to be Moses? So that was like my answer that I need to go ahead and run. And then literally we flipped the house and we flipped the state. So for the first time in Michigan in years, 30, 40 years almost, is it being ran all by Democrats, and it's all being ran by women.
Right.
What really excited me was when I ended up on the flyer with the governor, and that just impressed me. So it was so funny. But they realized they had a good candidate. But guess what? It took them a while to realize they had a good candidate. Well, where is she? Who is she? Well, where she come from? And my strategist said she didn't grow up trying to be a state rep.
Right.
But I was there. But the point was, it was so much trying to go through the minutia of getting involved, but I ran in 6 months and really almost won it. I could have ran again this year, but I had to take care of some family. I had a sister that just passed away recently. And I'm saying all that to say, sometimes we just got to jump in, and I have people talking about, well, why are you running? I wasn't running for no particular reason for my personal or anything. I was running because I didn't like what I was hearing on TV. I sat back
Mhm.
during the pandemic. I saw the governor up there. I saw they tried to kidnap her. I saw all this stuff and I said, I'll work for her for free. And the same thing when President Obama came on the scene, I will go to the White House for free. Now I know I need to get paid, right? But my point is that that's where my head was at because they need our support. And right now, you are in a key position, seeing that electric vehicles are coming out, understanding that there's grant money being given for our kids to be educated, mentoring women. Tell us a little bit more about your mentorship program.
Sure, I mentored for a few things, but one organization I'm with is called Women of Tomorrow, and actually they do mentoring through Michigan and Florida. So I know I have ladies from Florida on the line as well. So they do it out of 2 states. So I'm in Michigan, so I work a lot with the local high schools, and they have women, professional women from all different types of businesses and lines of work. So we have a team at GM who goes in and mentor at a few local Detroit high schools. So we go in and teach them finance and conflict resolution, entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation, empowerment, cybersecurity, how to act online. We teach STEM, getting girls involved in STEM programs and things like that. So we go into the schools just once a month, and it's just 1 hour that we go in and mentor these girls and talk to them on all different topics every month. We start in October, and our last session for the year is actually in May. So
Okay.
so we have some other friends from GM that's also starting a new program that we call Fearless Transformations, which we're teaching leadership skills. So we're taking it from a whole nother level from mentorship to leadership. So we have a whole curriculum based on that we're going to do a few local high schools on how to be leaders, how to start your own business, how to be an entrepreneur. You know, a lot of girls want to get into learning how to do hair and nails and makeup. Some want to get into real estate. Some want to go into college. So how do we, not everyone wants to go to college, but there's plenty of women who wants to do other things. Somebody wants their own construction business, their own trucking business. And that's why
Exactly.
I want to network with you ladies and gentlemen on the phone line, because it's good to have you come in as Black people to say, I can make it, you can make it too. So we're starting that
Wow.
program hopefully in the fall, where we're gonna really need, you know, a lot of overhead to get started. We're gonna we have a whole website and structured curriculum that we're building. So hopefully I can come back in the future and give you the website information. We're in the process of building the program, of building everything for the second mentor program. The other one, Women of Tomorrow, already exists today. I think it's womenoftomorrow.org. You can go and find information and even volunteer if it's something that you want to do, whether you're in Michigan or Florida. So they work out of 2 states.
Oh my God, that is great. And I know Miss Deanie, she's on. I know she's listening, but her son is a neurosurgeon.
Okay.
And they've actually featured him on ABC. We're going to have him on here speaking too. But she also has 3 granddaughters, and I had a chance to meet them, and they're all straight A students. Deanie, I don't know if you're listening, but this is something for your daughters to be able to maybe tune into your granddaughters. So, you know, again, just understanding because we have a lot of smart children, but we got to take them to that other level, and they're not going to be able to get there on their own. And I know, Angelina, you have a daughter and she's coming up. And so, you know, everything you're talking about, you know, I'm a real estate broker, so I love real estate. If it wasn't for the real estate I have today, you know, that's why I'm able to fly. I fly 2 hours from one home in Rochester Hills to another home down here in Wesley Chapel. I was involved in the travel business, which I still am, which really allowed me to retire early. And was able to took over 100 people to Dubai. And we've been to
Wow.
Beijing, China, and we're doing a lot of great things to travel, to unravel, and to be able to, because I say, if you don't, you know, the world is a book, and if you don't travel, you haven't gotten off your first page. So all of this, we can put together, we could get some young ladies, you know, I don't like to leave the men out, but we know we can go back and forth on how we're going to do all of this, but especially the women in this space, because there's less women than there are men and young men. But maybe we could get a trip for them to go. They could come down here to Florida and go to the Kennedy Space Center. And they could
Yes.
do a lot of stuff. I've done that. I've been involved in taking them where they spend a whole day at the Space Center. So see, these are the things that we can do, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the purpose of this podcast. Sometimes you don't know where you're going when you get started with something. Miss Rosa kept telling me, you just need to get started. I said, okay, Rosa, okay, she's my biggest cheerleader. She said, you just need to get started, you know, and that's what we're doing. But I'm begging for each and every one on here. You all are professionals in your own right. And I've got my cousin, Miss April, on here. And I mean, she's always been involved in the nonprofit space, and she does a lot of my flyers for me. And she's one of my biggest advocates. She's got grandkids that are graduating and coming on up. Let's get these children educated so that they are our future. You know what I mean? They
That's
are our
right.
future. Now, do you
And
have
that's what mentoring is so important to me. You know, I'm an empty nester. My son is 24. He graduated from college. So it's like, it's no excuse for me. You know, I know the journey it took. I wish I had a mentor, someone who would show me the way. It wouldn't have took me as long, and I wouldn't have bumped my head as much and as hard. So these things didn't exist when I was in school. You know, so
right?
that's why I need people like you all to help us with the program. So as soon as we get everything up and running, I would like to come back and share with you guys, or share with Dr. B, to put it out there. So we definitely need help and support. You know, some of you might be able to come in and help us talk to some of these young ladies and show that there's another way, that there's options besides just, I don't know, sexy red and all the people that they see on these videos and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, it's more than that, you know, filling our young girls' head with garbage of that stuff, you know.
That's funny you say sexy red, because you look very good with your red on, but you look very professional. No, I'm serious, because see, that's another thing, is how we'll teach them how to represent themselves and how to dress. You don't have to have all your boobs hanging out and your legs.
All that. We
I mean,
teach
all
all that.
that, you can still be, self-controlled and you could be confident and you can still be classy, sexy. And a lot of us don't
Yes.
realize that. And then when the grandmama looking all crazy, I guess, and they gonna look crazy too. But this is stuff that we have to teach when they start coming into the business space. So that is so important. So what I want to do, because we only got a few minutes left, I want to open it up to the audience. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I got one lady joining us now. She missed the whole thing, but that's okay, Miss Lucy. But I just want to open it up now to the audience because we have talked about today is our future. We're talking about electric vehicles. We're talking about STEM, science, technology, and engineering and math. For our young people coming in, they've got to learn that, and if we teach them at a young age, they're going to be ahead of they're going to be ahead of the game. We're talking about women of tomorrow, where you're mentoring women, young women, telling them how to dress, how to carry themselves, how to start their own business, how to be creative. I know at the school system, they took away cursive. And I was interviewing, I think it was Miss Rose's daughter, who is a writer, and she's done a lot for Harkland Romance and stuff. And she was awesome on one of our shows. And she said, cursive is creative. It's where you're using your creative side. Why take that away from the students? And, we need to get the arts back in and the sciences and all of that, and the sports, because it gives our children a way out. So I am definitely interested in supporting you all as you go into the schools. Keep me posted on your program.
I
I would
sure
be
will.
glad to participate in that. And does anyone have any comments or questions? Please just unmute yourself. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and quickly let's ask Kristy while we have her in front of us. Anybody?
Yes, hello. My name is Sharella Haywood, and I have a trucking
Hello.
company. Thank you for all this information. It was very informational, and I'm interested in the program coming up in the fall. Um, but our trucking company right now, we haul general freight across the states, and we also have a dumping service here locally in Michigan. But I
Okay.
wanted to go back to the Evolve program. How will
Mhm.
a small business get involved with a program like that?
I know that GM Involved has a website where you can go and get information about the series of fleet vehicles that they have to offer. So maybe I could even take your information to see if there's something I can send you because or find someone in that area that you can talk to learn more about the electric fleet vehicles. But I know they have a website. Let me look right quick. I got two computers
Okay.
up. Let me
Okay,
see if I
great.
can
Thank
put the
you.
link in here. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
you can look that up too, Kristy, and then if you have like an email or something that you want to share with the audience, we can do that.
It's
And
gminvolved.com. I'm gonna put this in the chat for
yeah,
you.
just go ahead
Okay.
and chat.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I've got more people
Evolve.com.
joining us now. But anybody else have any comments or questions? Did that answer your question, Sharella? Did you have any?
Yes. Mhm. Yep.
Okay,
Thank
she's going to get her information. Now, Sharella works with me with the Minority Business Enterprise. And so we're kind of
Oh,
teaming up
nice.
because we deal with a lot of guys and they're talking about, we want to work, we want to get some contracts with GM, Ford, Chrysler, we want to be able to do this, we want to do that. And so I'm kind of the tip of the spear on that. So I would love to have you come and speak.
Okay.
There's another gentleman, Sherelle, I can't remember his name, but he represents Ford Motor Company. But we would like to just have you as far as representing GM in the way you can. I know you can't make any promises and anything like that, but if you
Okay.
would just kind of motivate people to let them know that EV is here to stay. So you might as well get your electric vehicle if if you buy one, you tax write-offs or whatever it might be, but get ready because it's not going anywhere and it's going to evolve,
you.
They
Mhm.
need to hear that. So anywho, anybody else comments, questions?
Yeah.
Somebody said, yeah, okay. Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, somebody said, yeah, who was that? Okay, I don't know. They might have been talking to somebody else. Any other
Maybe.
comments or questions from anybody?
One
Unmute.
thing I would definitely say, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. You got the floor.
I say one thing I would definitely say for your kids who is interested in IT, gone are the jobs where you can go work at Ford, GM, and Chrysler on the line and make a lot of money. You know, the next evolution that they're doing is they're automating a lot of the things that's on the production lines now. They're using robots and software and using AI and all kinds of technology. So that's something, because I know Dr. B want to get into AI things. So one day we can talk about that's
Okay.
definitely the way of the future. So I would advise people that, you know, gone are the days you can go and work at the big three and make 80, 90, $100,000 a year, that, you know, those jobs are going to start to be gone in the next few years, because a lot of things are going towards automation. They're going to automate a lot of those activities.
Yes, yes, yes. So you know what? You have just done a fantastic job. I really appreciate you joining our show. It's recorded. I want to ask all of you guys to go to Dr. B Stress Free on YouTube and subscribe and hit the like button. Uh, and you know, just take a look at this, because this is our future. And as we bring on people that are taking time out of their busy schedules to share with us, that is awesome. And you have an upfront personal. So now don't ask me questions when we get off of here. You got the expert here. If you want to ask anything else, let's go ahead and shoot. Or if you want to make a comment on what you've heard today, make a comment, because we're getting ready to, we start on time and we end on time. Any other comments, questions? Unmute yourself. Anything anybody else want to say? Okay. All right. Well, young lady, you have done a fantastic job. And Kristy, Lacy, we're proud of you for making it up the ladder at GM. Continue to represent us. Don't forget me now, because see, I might show up anywhere. They're saying thank you so much. They're saying the chat's blowing up. But, you know, just tell me, you know, Dr. B, this is going on. Can you make it? And I get on the plane. Like I jump in the car these days. My son said, Mom, because this morning we got here, we flew out because we had a celebration of life this past Memorial with some of our people. And so he goes, Mom, it only took 2 hours. He goes, it used to take longer than this. I said, I don't remember taking longer than this, but maybe so. Maybe the plane's flying a little faster, but 2 hours, we're flying 1,000 miles into a whole new world. You know what I mean? And that's what life is all about. And I just thank God, I praise him. I thank him and I praise him every day that he put me in a space where I've been able to take care of my family, took care of my dad the last few years of his life. That's how I got the house down here in Florida. Then was able to take care of my sister who just passed away. And so what I'm saying is, too much is given, much is required, but it's like a 360, right? We got to give. And she was a sister-in-law, ex-sister-in-law. People like, God, you took, yeah. But she was related to my children, you know what I mean? And so we
Yep.
do what we have to do, but you have to position yourself to be able to be free enough to take care of your family and your friends. Like your son is grown and he's a college graduate. I have 3 that are grown and they're all college graduates. And so we've done our job, but now it's time for us to give back. And until we have grandkids, I don't think you have any now, but I don't have any yet, but we want to be able to pour into them. And I'm like, tell them, don't wait too long. But then on the other hand, you're going to take care of whatever you have. So it's kind of funny, you know, we train them to be a certain way, and that's what they're doing now. And we're just blessed. So I'm going to end. Is there anything else you want to say to us before we end this?
Thank you for your time. I would love to come back and talk to you again soon in the future. I have broad knowledge of many different things. I don't know if that's a Gemini in me, you know some of this and some of that about many different things. So, Dr. B, I would love to come back again, maybe talk about my EV journey. Maybe we'll do a video of me riding down the street in the EV so you can see how it goes and answer any of your questions. Maybe I'll pick up Dr. B and we'll go for a ride and,
Don't pick me up.
ride in
No,
the car.
seriously. I'll be back in Michigan. I spend more of my time in Michigan doing the warm weathers.
I thought about coming to Florida. I don't know
All
about
you
being in
gotta do is
Michigan now.
All you gotta do is get on the plane. My ticket was $30-something to get down here. So I got to book this $30. It was on the yellow bus. I ain't crazy about the yellow bus, but I get on there, close my eyes, put my music in my ear. In 2 hours, we were here landing.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, you're welcome to come here. I have a beautiful home here, 4 bedrooms, and anybody that's part of my tribe, we take good care of them. They all ate real good this weekend. And so wherever I'm at, you're going to get fed, you're going to be taken care of, and you're going to have a good time.
Well, that sounds like a winner. Definitely. Maybe I'll drive cross country in my EV and test the theory to see if I make it down without running out of juice.
Hey, maybe I might jump in the car with you. You never know. I'm serious because I'm really looking to get it. Right now, I have a Porsche and I have a Range Rover, and both of them are not electric. And so I was looking at the Porsche. I said, I'd like to get maybe the electric Porsche. So I'm thinking
Oh.
about that. But I know you GM, so I got to talk GM right now. I know y'all want me to talk American vehicles, but maybe I'll get it. You were talking about the Cadillac. So I just gotta trust and understand what should be what's the best car I can get as an EV where I'm gonna get the best tax write-off because I don't do a lot of driving anymore. I get on planes.
Right.
Oh, and down here in Florida, I know I could easily, like right next door to me right now, I can show you guys a charging station where they got their car plugged up. And so that's what you see more down here than you see in Michigan right now. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of where we are. It's just interesting, but a lot of people in this area have electric vehicles down here in the
Wow.
Tampa area. Yeah, most of my neighbors, or they're running around on their little golf carts and stuff like that. So I'll probably end up with an EV, probably more so down here first than in Michigan.
Okay.
I'm thinking weather-wise, and I'm hearing they have some issues with the batteries and stuff like that. So, again, we learn, but we have to also evolve ourselves as we're telling everybody else to evolve. So you have just definitely laid the platform for me. And let's talk sometime this week. Let's get back together offline and see how we can move forward.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a great audience. Again, this is Dr. B Stress Free Real Talk for you. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Please give us comments because that's how we, stay current and what have you, and let people know that we are the real deal. So you all have a blessed evening and good night.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Good night. Stay safe.